Wakati corona ikiingia, kazi yangu ilididimia.
When Covid19 disrupted lives, interventions had to be made.
We will continue to provide all necessary assistance to groups, communities,
people who are elderly, people who have terminal illnesses, children who are heads of households because they are orphaned.
Natumia kwa mulo.
Nikipata hiyo naenda kujipangia.
Wakinunua mkate, wanunua maziwa, tunafaidika.
In this documentary, find out how much is trickling down, beneficiaries, impact on the economy, challenges and way forward. My name is Alex Chamwada. In Kadweru village, West Seme location, Kisumu County, we meet 88-year-old John Odwa, a beneficiary of the cash transfer program for the vulnerable members of the community. Mzee Odwa is diabetic. He is a provider taking care of his wife, a son, and 4 grandchildren. Odwa told us that when Covid-19 hit the country, his son, who works in Kisumu, lost his job. Hence, his source of livelihood was cut. Therefore, the 1,000 shillings he receives every week comes in handy.
Serikali ilipatia mimi nafasi na kulipa mimi shilingi 1,000 hii kutoka mwezi wa 6 mpaka sasa. Kifanya fedha natumia kwa mulo na wanangu wao, watoto wangu. Sasa tangu nilipata hiyo fedha, mimi niko dalili safi. Mulo yangu sababu nakula vizuri.
Odwa is among some 39,000 beneficiaries in Kisumu County.
They were able to be registered through our structures, our ngao structures, our national government administrative structures, right from the Nyumba Kumi level, the sublocation level, location, up to the disease level and up to my level. And we gave those names to our headquarters in Nairobi, and they were able to be catered for.
For us to get the right person, all the vulnerabilities, we had to dig so deep into the villages through the Nyumba Kumi. We live with them. We know their status and their daily income and their health as they are.
In Nairobi's Kangemi informal settlement, we find another beneficiary, 24-year-old Christine Kamanthe, an orphan and a single mother who is taking care of her 4 siblings and her own child.
Nilikuwa nafanya vibarua za mjengo, kufua vibarua tu ili waweze kukula. Vile sasa Covid-19 ilikuja, ikabidi vibarua zimekatika. Ikabidi sasa nimebaki tu kwa nyumba tu, sasa sina otherwise. Lakini venye serikali ilianza kututumia cash transfer, at least ikanisaidia kuwa akaweza kupata cha kukula. Tunalipa tu rent kidogo kidogo, tunapunguza deni. So far imenisaidia cause kama sio sasa tungekuwa maybe tuko chokora hivi ama tumekufa njaa, hatuna any relative mwenye atusaidia.
Masi Njoki, a single mother, is another beneficiary living in Kingongo village in Nyeri County. She is asthmatic. She says life would have been tough had she not been enlisted in the cash transfer program, since she no longer gets the odd jobs she used to do.
Nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya kibarua kitambo hii ugonjwa ingie. So nilikuwa naenda kwa mtu namfulia nguo, napigiwa simu naambia kuja ufue leo, kuja ufue kesho. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa kazi yangu ya kuhustle. Sasa vile ugonjwa uliingia, watu walikataa. Hawataki mtu aingie kwake, unawaletea corona. So kazi ikakaa imekatika. Sana sana mimi ni asthmatic. Sijawahi lala njaa na nikikosa saa hii nikute unga imeisha, nitaenda kwa duka ya jirani nimwambia sina unga, pesa sikikuja nitatumiwa na serikali nitakulipa. Ananipe. Juu anajua kuna kitu ninapata kila wiki.
9.3 billion Kenya shillings has been pumped into the cash transfer program that began in April 2020. The cash was sent in full to Safaricom. 300,000 households are benefiting from the program. Each household receives 1,000 shillings every week through M-Pesa mobile money transfer. This means 300 million shillings is pumped into the economy every week.
We set up a small committee made up of staff from Interior, Ministry of Health and State Department of Social Services to go to the field, to go to the slums and isolate the most vulnerable. And we had a very good criteria. People who are orphaned, children who are actually heads of households, people who have terminal illnesses, people basically who have no other way of survival.
Tunaverify, tunaona huyu, tunawatambua kwa sababu hatuwezi kukosa kukutambua kwa sababu tunakaa hapa. Unajua huyu ni mtoto wa fulani, huyu ni mtoto wa fulani, huyu ni mtoto wa fulani.
In Kibera, Nairobi County, Irene Owiti, a grocer, is among the elderly benefiting from the program. She says her business was affected negatively by the Covid-19 crisis, yet she is providing for 10 grandchildren.
Tunakaa bure, hata nikileta ndizi ona hii. Naosa tu, yani pesa hakuna. Lakini nikipata hiyo naenda kujipangia. Nanunua unga, hata naweza toa unga kidogo na sukari ya kukoda na maziwa, alafu wachukua kule na mkate.
In Mombasa, Sophia Hamisi Shatiba says she could no longer continue with her business as a hawker, and thank God she was selected for the Covid-19 cash transfer.
Pesa hizi zimeweza kutusaidia sisi ambao tulikuwa na biashara za vyakula, kwa hivi sasa tumefunga kulingana na hii madhara ya corona. Hiyo 1000 nikipata ngano huwa najibambanya. Naweza chukua hata kama ni sukari kilo 2, 3 nikaeka kwa nyumba. Ikanisaidia na hao watoto wako nyumbani. Kwa sababu watoto sasa hawaendi shule.
Let's cross over to Marigoini in Nairobi South B, and Isaiah Wafula, who is visually impaired, told me that he used to do hawking for a living, but that was disrupted by Covid-19. We joined him as he walked together with his brother to the shop to buy some foodstuff after receiving his cash.
SIM toolkit, withdraw cash. From agent, enlist. SIM toolkit 1, sending. Okay, button. Edit box. Withdraw from 77,172.
Ningeamka tu niuze kama ni juice, biscuit hizo sweeti. Ama saa zingine niuze nguo. Population venye ilirudi chini ile kutembea sasa ikakuwa minimize, sasa hakuna venye ongeuza. Sasa kabidi tumerudi kwa nyumba. Ile pesa kidogo pia ilikuwa tumesave. Yote ikatumika, sasa tukabaki hivyo. So angalau imekuwa ikinisaidia, tunajaza gasi. Hizi pesa zinakuja hizi wiki zingine sasa imekuwa tu ni chakula, kununua maji.
When he announced the setting aside of funds to the cash transfer program, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the money would go a long way in cushioning the vulnerable members of the society from the effects of COVID-19.
We will continue to provide all necessary assistance to groups, communities, social economic sectors that have been hardest hit by the pandemic.
The intervention began with the counties which were under lockdown, namely Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale, and this was expanded to the counties that were affected with that lockdown. The program was eventually extended to all the 47 counties.
Safaricom being the platform that does the M-Pesa bit, they have done something very fantastic in this. What they have done is that they have helped us transfer this money at no cost.
We have an agreement with them that when we put money in the M-Pesa accounts of these people, within 48 hours, they cannot reclaim any debt that the individuals, whether it's Fuliza or all those other programs. So they allow them to use that money. It's only after 48 hours and then they can claim their debt. So we are very grateful to Safaricom for this because even the other programs like Kazi Mtaani and all that, they have continued to implement them without charges to government.
The cash transfer program is just one of the initiatives that the government is applying as intervention methods during this COVID-19 period.
There are those ones that have been long-term, existed for a very long time, like the one that the Ministry of Labour runs, the Inua Jamii program, and they give, I think, 4,000 every 2 months. There are also the other programs like the Kazi Mtaani that we are pumping money to the ordinary people to just ensure that the money is circulating first of all, and people are having money in their pockets to buy food.
At Mikuyuni Secondary School in Kibwezi, Makueni County, these youths are applying their newly acquired skills to make interlocking blocks. This is under the Kazi Mtaani program. Among them is 34-year-old Kennedy Muli, whose agility on the job proves that disability is not inability.
Kazi yangu ilikuwa ni kushona viatu, pia kushonea watoto, kuwawekea cover hizi za makaton na kuwatengenezea hizo vitabu wazazi wakinilipa. Na wakati corona ikiingia, kazi yangu ilididimia, capital ikaenda chini, ikawa sasa sina mapato tena.
Muli now has not only something to keep him busy, but also a source of income to enable him put food on the table.
Rent house na chakula itaendelea kama normal. Zile pesa tukinunua unga, wale wenye duka wanapata hela.
Makueni County Commissioner Mohamed Maalim says the program has contributed to the circulation of money in the county a great deal.
Every worker is paid 455 Kenya shillings. Then the supervisor, because of that responsibility, he will be given an additional 50 shillings.
He says this project is not only boosting incomes amid the Covid-19 crisis, but it is also contributing to the housing component of the Big Four agenda.
And as we speak, we already have over 3,500 bricks. Our target is to actually produce 500,000 bricks for that school. The school will have saved over 35 million Kenya shillings.
The 10 billion shilling Kazi Mtaani program initially benefited 31,000 youth upon its inception in April 2020. The number increased to 283,000, cutting across the 47 counties.
The criteria was, first of all, you must demonstrate dire need. Secondly, you must not be benefiting from another social protection program. So like if you're a recipient of the cash transfers, you are not considered for this particular program. And number three, you don't come from the same household. So by definition, we're talking about 18 to 35 years old, but we made exceptions for women, all right, and especially a lot of the single mothers.
Kazi Mtaani began by focusing on hygiene. That is why its actual name is National Hygiene Program.
You realize also that if you have got the usual diseases like typhoid, cholera and whatnot, if you get COVID and you have exposure to those things, your chances of survival are actually less.
In the second phase of Kazi Mtaani, the scope was expanded to infrastructure-related projects, and this is aimed at bringing sustainability to the program.
Ikiwa kuna mtu amegonjeka, walikuwa wanamlamba kwa blanketi na wanampeleka mpaka huko juu kwenye barabara yenye iko. Lakini kwa sasa vile hii barabara imepanuliwa through Kazi Mtaani, vijana na wananchi hapa wako na furaha mingi sana.
Going forward, it is government's position that we want to deconstruct these big contracts and move towards what we're calling community contracting. Community-based organization come together and we give them works. So we are going to be moving from machine-driven type of works to community-based where there is labor-intensive.
Both the cash transfer to the vulnerable and the Kazi Mtaani initiatives rely heavily on proper data management.
Through data mining and data analysis, we can actually know that through the cash transfer, for example, we are sure that 1 million shillings is circulating around Mukuru Kwanjenga on a particular day where we have sent in the money, because we normally do this on a Tuesday.
The management of such data in a much more secure environment will become a reality when the data center at the Konsa Technopolis, or what is known as Konsa Smart City, is fully operationalized.
And I've had a discussion with my colleague P.S. Hinga, and we've agreed that actually we are going to use Konsa as our repository for this particular data. So we are saying with the build-up of data, with the requirement of many people wanting to have data stored in a secure, safe environment, accessible in terms of technology, not accessible in terms of people, then Konsa Data Center provides a perfect environment for secure data repository.
All said and done, one would ask, what can one do with 1,000 shillings? Can it really lessen the burden? Just how much is enough?
Some would say 10,000 because they are thinking of eating pizzas and all this. But when you give this 1,000 to the people in the slum areas, they have their ways of living with 1,000 for a week. They will pass through a place where the people are selling soup, where people wanauza ulimi ya ng'ombe. They will go and buy, they buy sukuma wiki of 50 shillings, they will go buy kadogo unga, and by the end of the day they have eaten and fed their families.
Watu wa cash transfer kikuja kama saa hizi wakinunua mkate, wanunua maziwa, tunafaidika.
Cash transfers give the beneficiaries privacy, dignity, and the power to make their own choices on how to utilize the money, with many more benefiting indirectly from the chain.
Nilikuwa nafanya tu kazi ya saluni, nikaenda pale hivi ma estate kufuafua nguo, wakafunga ati kuna corona. Sasa senye hii kazi nasema imenisaidia jisingekuwa na kazi.
Tumia Kazi Mtaani imenisaidia sana, naweza lipa nyumba, nakula, na pia kuna ile kitu ndogo napata natumia mate home, namwambia pia yeye ajisaidie.
Vile sahi Kazi Mtaani iko, hata kazi hiyo pesa hiyo faidi wao wenyewe, hata mimi saidi na nisaidia. Juu napata hata chakula yangu wanaikula hiyo pesa, hata mimi nimeitumia.
Tangu vijana waanze kazi pia hapa kunisaidia, kaanza kumaintain ka usafi kidogo. Kasa makipita kidogo anasema hii kibanda inametameta kidogo. Naangalia mboga iko fresh. Hata kama sitagemea wa karibu, mpita njia napita naangalia. Anachukua ya ambao na mwingine anachukua. By the end of the day napata kitu kidogo.
In the past, assistance to the needy would come in the form of relief food, which in the first place would have procurement challenges, with the so-called big boys minting money from it. But that has been bypassed.
Previously, when you are sending maize, beans and all that, you have to pay about 20-30% to logistics. Now, if we send 300 million shillings to Kenyans, it arrives as 300 million shillings to 300,000 people every week. There is no cost of logistics, and therefore the impact is more.
The other benefit is that the cash transfer method helps to contain the spread of the coronavirus, as the idea of people queuing for relief food is now obsolete. Again, the method has helped avert such chaos. However, the cash transfer method has its own challenges.
Mambo na payment, sometimes inakuja hii group inapata, hii group nyingine inapata time, iko constant time, at least wanapata hawa at the same time, isikwe discrimination, hii group imepata hivi, hawa group nyingine imekuwa haijapata.
But government authorities say most of the challenges are related to incorrect data given by some of the beneficiaries, and secondly, no more technical hitches that can be resolved.
Once there is a mismatch between the ID and the telephone number given, they cannot receive their pay. But I want to add that nobody is going to miss their pay.
We have moved now to an app where also clocking in and clocking out, so we avoid also issues of fraud because of the sheer numbers.
Obviously, when a program like this begins and people hear there is money government is giving, there would be tendency of even the people you are using the ground to bring people who do not qualify. We have designed accountability forms that I, Assistant Chief so and so from this sub-location, I'm the one who has proposed the following. Should we discover that those proposals are in error or there is fraud in them, then there is someone to follow and they know the consequences.